Hello and welcome to Talking Tech and Trash with Gino and Toby, the podcast where we talk tech and trash. I'm Gino.
And I'm Toby.
And today we are talking about what might actually be the best Batman movie ever. I think we've pretty much confirmed. Spoiler alert for our opinions.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, everybody. We're talking about The Batman.
The Batman.
Written and directed by Matt Reeves. You know, as a professional podcaster, I often do research before our episodes.
That's not
and
true.
not during our episodes.
None of it's true. Also, by accident, I just want to say I almost said Sam Raimi, but that's because the commercial, the trailer for Into the Multiverse was
show
on,
again. And
Sam Raimi is the only director I'm thinking about right now.
I'm thinking about Matt Mother Effin Reeves because, yes, Matt Reeves. Okay, written by Matt Reeves and Peter Craig, and they also put Bill Finger as a writer. Which
sounds made up.
That's the guy who made Batman, so he's dead. So IMDb, no, bad. A little bit of background, Toby. We actually didn't talk about this before we saw it. So this started out as part of the Justice League universe with like Ben Affleck's Batman.
Okay.
So part of the reason why Ben Affleck signed up to be Batman was because he was promised a Batman movie that he could write and direct. You know, he made Good Will Hunting. He knows what he's doing. He writes scripts. He made Argo, Geely.
No.
All good movies. So he was going to write and direct a Batman movie. So this started out as a Ben Affleck writing and directing. Then I think he was like, nah, I don't want to write. I'm just going to direct. Then he was like, nah, I don't want to write or direct. I'm bringing in Matt Reeves, the guy who did the new Planet of the Apes movies.
Oh, okay.
And then he was like, you know what? Batman vs. Superman stinks. Justice League stinks. I'm out. Get a new Batman. So this did start out as a Ben Affleck Batman movie.
I am definitely glad that it wasn't.
Because Ben Affleck stinks compared to this Batman.
Also old.
Yeah, it would have been an old Batman. Yeah, that's what I didn't like about
Batman.
his Batman to begin with. It's an old Batman.
Yeah.
I don't want old Batman yet.
Me either.
Old Batman's great.
I think we've only seen old Batman. When have we seen young Batman?
We have seen old Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. No, like old. Like Ben Affleck's Batman is like Robin's already dead.
Like what? Michael Keaton isn't old?
Not in the. He's going to be in the new Flash movie. He's going to be an old Batman.
You know what? I think to be honest, we did a little bit of research, as in we watched The Dark Knight on Saturday and we saw the movie on Sunday.
So I had to compare. So, I mean, before we get into whether or not this is better than The Dark Knight, because I think that's a controversial opinion.
Right, but I just want to be clear.
We did watch The Dark Knight the day before.
I just want to be clear that our Batman knowledge is slim.
Speak for yourself. I've played all 3 Arkham Asylum games.
Okay,
I know who...
Movie-wise...
I haven't seen the 1989
This is called what
Batman.
we're watching, not what we're playing.
I can name all the Batman movies.
Okay, but Gino, honest opinion or honest truth, have you seen Michael Keaton's Batman?
Not since I was a very, very little kid.
Have you seen Val Kilmer's Batman?
Yes.
Do you remember it?
It was bad. I remember it being bad.
Okay. Have you seen George Clooney's Batman?
Yes, it is really bad, but hilarious. It's good to watch when you're drunk.
So this is fun for Gino because for Toby... Toby
doesn't like Batman. Let's just start.
I guess we can.
Toby was so mad that we watched The Dark Knight to begin with. She's like, I don't want to watch it. We're seeing the Batman on Sunday. The way I convinced Toby to come see this movie was like, Toby, we need something for the podcast on Wednesday.
Yeah,
because you're like a Marvel person.
I am 100% Marvel. However, DC is swaying me with all the Suicide Squad stuff.
Suicide Squad was.
Peacemaker was great.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
The first Wonder Woman was wonderful. But like everything else DC, we haven't seen Aquaman yet. We keep saying we're going to watch it and like we haven't. But like that dark universe, I don't want.
Well, this is a separate universe from the other DC movies.
Well, I'm just saying.
Currently.
Right. And I've also never been, I used to watch the animated series, but I wasn't like, because it was on and I liked the way animation looked.
So when I was a kid, Marvel was like whatever. Like the Spider-Man animated series was whatever. X-Men was kind of like before my time a little bit.
I watched X-Men.
I watched it, but like I remember Batman the animated series. That's arguably one of the greatest animated shows of all time. Still my favorite Batman. We'll talk about it. And then Justice League was incredible. You know, I didn't have cable growing up. So like, this is what I could watch. Channel 11, Justice League Unlimited. Like, that's what I had.
WB New Yorkers.
WB, yeah. That's what I mean, they have WB. Oh, I said Channel 11.
That's why I said
Yeah,
WB
Warner
for
Brothers,
New
currently
York.
CW. Yeah.
Was Pix 11 for a little
Was
bit.
Pix 11, whatever. Anyway, so that's what I watched. Like, those were, you know, when I was watching Power Rangers and Pokemon, which was also on, you know, Channel 5 and Channel 11. So I have a lot of love for that Batman. And then they used that Batman, the animated series Batman, for the Arkham Asylum games, which I love Batman Arkham Asylum. It's probably one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. So I think the best compliment I can give this movie is that it feels like they took Batman the animated series, made it like pretty scary, like up the darkness of it, like in terms of like the themes and whatnot, and just made it really, really long. So if you like Batman the animated series, if you like the Arkham Asylum games, I think you're going to be right at home. There were lines that Robert Pattinson said where I'm like, that feels like something that I would hear in Batman the animated series. So it was awesome. Toby, your just quick thoughts before we get into like specific things.
Yeah, quick thoughts. So for somebody that doesn't have any pull toward Batman, I was telling everybody today, go see it. Because it's also like it's not like an origin story. You don't have to care about Batman. You just have to care about you have to care about a mystery. You have to care about a thriller. You have to care about scary things, which I am obsessed with, all of those things. So it checked a lot of my boxes aside from like
Check
the
your lady
superhero.
boxes when
check my lady box too.
No pun intended. With Robert Pattinson. Toby literally during the movie was like, Robert Pattinson. Oh, no, you didn't even say Robert Pattinson. You're like, this Batman might be the sexiest superhero of all time.
Yeah, I also said I think.
I was like, I agree.
I was like, I think you need to get a Batman suit.
Which is like, Robert Pattinson is obviously a very attractive man, but he's not like that attractive.
Listen.
But he puts on that suit.
There is something about the fact that you don't see his whole face.
I mean, that's always been true for Batman.
Yeah, but like George Clooney without his mask, super. I love George Clooney. He's like got that like
terrible
nice
Batman.
Face. Right.
Awesome guy.
So there is just something about, and his voice wasn't goofy, which is
so I
another
guess we should just segue into like, what are your thoughts on Robert Pattinson specifically?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, so spoiler free, I guess also.
Yeah, I mean like, we're not going to go into like details about the story because it kind of ruins the mystery.
What are you talking about? People that have seen it will want to know.
Yeah, so like, spoiler free for the best.
Right
but
now,
like,
right now,
but like
I'm
a little spoilers.
Well, right now, we need to agree on this.
Go ahead. I'm just saying like, there's no way to possibly talk about it.
No, eventually we'll get into spoilers, but like, right now,
if you don't like any spoilers, stop listening. Go spend 3 hours going to see it.
Yeah,
come back.
But right now,
we're gonna try to avoid spoilers, and then we'll give you a big old warning.
Yeah,
like real spoilers are coming.
Yeah. So Robert Pattinson, and now again, I do not have that much experience with Batman. But Christian Bale's Batman has a goofy Batman voice.
It wasn't as bad in Batman Begins. I was just watching some clips from Batman Begins. It's his goofy Batman voice gets bad in The Dark Knight. It gets really bad in The Dark Knight Rises, but Batman Begins is pretty good.
It's just like because like the one line that you loved where it's, at least I'm not wearing hockey gear.
What makes you so different from what makes us so different? I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Right, like
no, it gets way worse.
That was terrible.
My favorite line from Batman Begins is when he's like interrogating a cop, and he drops him from a building, and then pulls him up. The cop's like, I don't know anything. I swear to God. He's like, swear to me, and he drops him again. That's an awesome Christian Bale line. So Christian Bale has some good lines with that stupid voice, but it is definitely a stupid voice.
It's a stupid voice, and I like that Robert Pattinson's voice didn't change dramatically.
Yeah.
It was like he has like a regular voice, and then he has a Batman
voice. He goes a little
voice.
bit deeper, yeah. And
he goes a little deeper.
Kevin Conroy in the Batman the Animated Series would use his normal, like higher pitch speaking voice for Bruce Wayne, like a more light regular speaking. And he would just lower his voice down.
Yeah, but
Batman.
like that makes sense.
If I was going to be Batman, I would talk deep like this.
Right.
But if I was going to be Bruce Wayne, I'd be like, hey guys, I'm
right, like
Playboy Bruce Wayne.
Right, it made sense. So like that I really liked. He was just like
a very whispery Batman voice.
I don't have a problem with it. And normally I hate whispers, but I was like super into it. It was like very clear for the character. And he was also just like very sexy, just like existing.
And he was very sad. I feel like this is a sad
Very
sad Batman.
Very sad.
Or at least sad Bruce Wayne. And we'll get into like more of the story in a little bit.
Your thoughts?
Thoughts on Robert Pattinson. I, from the get-go, from the jump, when they announced Robert Pattinson, as someone who disliked everything Twilight when Twilight was a thing, I was like, oh, he's going to do an amazing job. He's going to do an incredible job. I just knew it. I knew it. Because the rule of Batman is the more the internet complains about the actor playing a part, the better that actor will do in the part. It happened with Heath Ledger. Everyone was so mad when you have to go back to 2006, 2007 when they announced Heath Ledger's Batman.
No,
everyone
Joker.
As Joker. Everyone was so upset it was going to be Heath Ledger, and then he ended up winning an Oscar. So that's just the general rule of thumb. And people were not upset about Ben Affleck being Batman, and he didn't do a great job.
No. Well, because he's got the chin. You'd think you got the chin.
And also,
you're
Ben
golden.
Affleck is built like a brick house. So he's huge.
It's true.
He's like 6'3". He's about like 4 feet wide. But I thought Robert Pattinson did an incredible job. I think all the flaws, all the nitpicks I have about his Batman are a part of the story. So like his Bruce Wayne like to get into the story a little bit. So this Batman, he's
Okay,
only been
a little spoilers
a little
now.
bit. So this Batman has only been Batman for like 2 years, and he's still very much driven by like he wants to like scare criminals and beat up criminals and on vengeance and this and that.
Right, he really wants to stop crime, clean up the city.
He hasn't figured out the fact that he's like a superhero yet, and he's supposed to like also help people. And he really hasn't figured out the fact that like, you know, Batman is Batman, and Bruce Wayne, like being a good Bruce Wayne can help him be a better Batman. So he hasn't figured out like the playboy lifestyle of Bruce Wayne yet. So his Bruce Wayne is just constantly in the basement, tinkering away, watching video clips, being a detective.
Right.
There is no part of this movie. If your favorite part of Batman, for some reason, is that he's like a playboy and like dates women, none of that. There's none of that in this at all, because this Batman hasn't figured that out yet. He's still, it's not an origin movie because he's already been Batman.
It's like how...
But it feels more of an origin movie than even Batman Begins to me.
It's like a little bit how the first Spider-Man with Tom Holland was. We're like, we already know what happened. We know why he's there.
Yeah.
And now we get to see him figuring out his way.
For like 3 movies.
Right.
Yeah. So like, this is like an emotional origin story almost. Or like we'll talk. We're getting ahead of it. We'll talk about it. All right. So we're talking about specific actors. Zoe Kravitz. So you have any more thoughts about Robert Pattinson? Okay, Zoe Kravitz.
Catwoman. Crushed it. Loved her.
Amazing.
Also, I have never seen any of the other Catwomen, like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Again, I don't remember Michelle Pfeiffer, but from what I hear, she was incredible.
Great.
Yeah.
Halle Berry, I hear, I think that's the one movie I did. I'll just remember she like looked great in the suit.
She like had cat powers too in that one, right? She had
literally no
superpowers.
idea.
Yeah.
And then Anne Hathaway, I just don't like. I'm sorry.
So I don't know who does the casting for Christopher Nolan. Generally does a great job. Whoever thought that Anne Hathaway was a good Catwoman, bad casting director.
I'm sorry. After Princess Diaries, Princess Diaries I loved her in, and then the one where she was a princess and sang. I don't remember what that was.
She sang in Les Mis, but
no, it wasn't Les Mis.
She was sad face.
I know it wasn't. I haven't seen Les Mis. It was a great movie, and I can't remember it. And I love the actor who played the prince. And give me all of like the light Anne Hathaway nonsense. What?
I was just gonna say, like, go back to 2008, get little baby Zoe Kravitz, and make her be Catwoman. She was born in 1988. So she was around when they were filming the last Batman, Dark Knight Rises. That was 2012. So she was in her 20s.
What's the problem?
They should have gotten Zoe Kravitz for that one.
How would they have known?
Because she was around. She's been an actor for a while.
She was around in 2012. She was a baby.
No, she was born in 1988. So
I know she's a year
22.
older than me. All right, but
she's 22.
Yeah, but Christian Bale's 30-something.
Go back to when she was also a little baby. Take out Michelle Pfeiffer. Throw in Zoe Kravitz. That's how good Zoe Kravitz was.
She did really well. I've never seen her in anything else. This was great.
Yeah, she was like sexy, good fighter. like no nonsense, a little bit of a mean streak in her, kind of like she's still, she's not a superhero. She's a robber. She robs things. The chemistry between her and Batman was awesome. There's a scene where, spoiler alert, there's a scene where she goes into a club.
I'll give you a big warning, but just a brief one.
And she's wearing like video contact lenses for Batman, and she's wearing an earpiece for Batman. And just the back and forth banter they have, because Batman's at a remote location watching what she's doing.
Yeah, that was fun.
And she's trying to find information for him, but the way the contacts work, she has to stare at people for a little bit for him to get a facial ID. And just like the little goofy back and forth between them during that scene was great. I thought she did an awesome job. Good job, Lenny Kravitz, for creating
yes.
that.
No, it
Good
was.
job. That was your best. That's your best. Lenny Kravitz's best work.
I guess her.
Yeah, and a couple of songs are good, but
I don't know what songs are. But yeah, no, she did great. Next person.
Paul Dano, the weird kid from Little Miss Sunshine, as the Riddler.
He was also in another scary movie that I'm going to look up that I've seen, and I can't remember it. And I think it's the one with Nicole Kidman.
I mean, while Toby's doing that, I'm going to spoil her your thoughts, because Toby loves horror movies, and this was like a horror movie villain. So like Toby, as a horror movie fan, because the first scene, spoiler alert, he kills the mayor of Gotham, and the mayor's in a dark room where he's watching one of his campaign debates, and it's super dark. So whenever something bright shows up, it like really stands out. So as the camera moves around, all you see is the reflection of the Riddler's glasses in the background, and then he brutally murders the mayor with a like a carpet tucker thing, which apparently becomes important to the story later on. I had to double check after that scene if the movie was PG-13, because that's how brutal it was. I was like, oh, this must be rated R. So Toby, thoughts on Paul Dano as the Riddler?
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I guess he wasn't in a movie I saw.
He was in Little Miss Sunshine. That's
I know,
all that
but I
matters.
don't remember. Great. And I watch a lot of movies with crazy psychos in them, and the way he manipulated his voice as a crazy psycho was terrifying. The sound effects for some of the spooky scenes with him, they cut the music. They just played like shaky cam sounds. And for really not being able to show emotion on his face,
Because he's wearing a mask.
he was terrifying.
He was more, because we watched The Dark Knight, and when you saw the scenes in where the Joker kidnaps one of those fake Batmans and kills him, you said like, oh, that was scary. I thought that because Riddler does similar things where he kidnaps people and then makes he doesn't send them to the news because it's 2022.
Right.
He sends it he puts it on
the internet.
online. Very like QAnon kind of 8chan vibes going on there. There were a few of those scenes, and they almost felt like a Saw movie. I mean, they were terrifying. There's like contraptions around people's faces. He puts a bomb around someone's neck.
Yeah, it was like really dark.
He's
Rats.
he puts a rat. He puts a cage around someone's face with rats in it to eat through his head. Terrifying. I mean, like, such a good job. Paul Dano, like, awesome job.
I would like to see him in a light movie.
Like, a Little Miss Sunshine, but he's super weird in that too.
No, like a light one where he's like not a crazy creep. That would be fun.
But would you prefer Paul Dano's Riddler, or would you prefer Jim Carrey's Riddler? Everybody,
Careful of your coffee.
Jim Carrey's Riddler. Which one do you think is more scary?
I mean, scary Paul Dano, but I haven't seen.
I mean, Jim Carrey's got to feel a little bit like, oh, the Riddler's supposed to be a bad guy.
We have to watch it. We don't know.
We should. If we have nothing to talk about for the next episode, we should go back and watch the other like bad Batman movies.
Yeah.
I think my favorite character in this movie, aside from Robert Pattinson, is Jeffrey Wright as, I guess, Lieutenant Gordon at this point. James Gordon, he's not a commissioner yet. And I love Sirius Black, who plays Sirius Black and played Commissioner Gordon. Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I love Gary Oldman in the Dark Knight movies. He's probably my favorite character in those movies. but Jeffrey Wright kills it as
He did such
James
a good
Gordon.
job.
Yeah, I for a couple of times, like as you were swooning over Robert Pattinson,
You were swooning?
and I don't blame you. That mustache on Jeffrey Wright.
No.
My God.
Listen, Jeffrey Wright, the first thing I remember him in was in Hunger Games, where he was in the
remember Hunger
second.
Games.
He was in the second one,
I didn't see that.
where they like bring up all the old winners and they put them in there, and he was one of the old winners. He makes it out because he's like super important as a character. And I was like, wow, this guy has like a great voice, and I'm very into it.
He's got a great. Well, that's why they hadn't played the Watcher.
And he's the Watcher in the Marvel What If.
In What If?
So good. And yeah.
so boring in Westworld, which is kind of the point of his character because he's a robot.
Yeah, but he was at a great twist on his character.
Sure, I know, but that's not like whatever. He has like he's like pretty funny.
Yeah.
He's like banter with Robert Pattinson is really great. And like at certain points in this movie, it really feels like a detective buddy cop movie with Batman and James Gordon, where they go back and forth at each other.
Like, it's not clear in other...
They're such good friends.
Well, that's what I liked about this one, is that, like, I feel like in The Dark Knight, it was less of a friendship and more of, like, a working relationship. Like,
right.
Oh, hey, Batman, we have a problem. Oh, hey...
Oh, well, you didn't see in Batman Begins, when in that version of Batman, the Dark Knight one, when his parents die, it's James Gordon that helps him as a little kid.
So they are...
So, like, that version of Batman has known James Gordon since he was a little kid.
Oh,
so like he already likes him.
Okay,
before
so
he
we
was
didn't need
Batman.
to see that.
So I don't know if that's going to be true for this version.
Oh, right,
of,
but he didn't know that he was Batman.
Right,
see.
but the other one doesn't know he's Batman either.
Right, but I'm just saying because...
None of the James Gordons know who's Batman is.
Right,
Yeah.
but like the buddiness... Like, doesn't matter.
There's no buddiness in the Dark Knight
Exactly.
trilogy,
There's
yes.
no buddiness.
It's I mean, like that version of James Gordon is around to like say the speech about Batman in the end, where he's like, he's the city he's the hero that Gotham needs, but not the one it deserves. This one is like the BFF. I was waiting for them to like high five each other. Like,
yeah, they
it's great.
At one point, another spoiler, like the bat light goes on or whatever, the bat signal, and they both show up thinking the other one did it.
Yeah, I was like, was that you? No. Or like when they're both interrogating the Penguin, and they're both equally bad at it because like they hadn't figured out the mystery yet, so they're just screaming at him.
Yeah.
And Penguin's like, "Oh, the two world's greatest detectives." Like they said, "World's greatest detective." By the way, side note: the surprising lack of knowledge of people that Batman is called the world's greatest detective is shocking to me. But the thing is, you watch all the Batman movies, you would never say like, "Oh, Batman's a detective."
No, because it always feels like it's like one of those where like, oh, we know the villain,
We know
and we know where he lives.
Yeah, this one. If again, Batman is the world's greatest detective for a reason, and he's just doing all kinds of great detective work with Jeffrey Wright. I also like that it's very clear that this James Gordon is like literally the only cop in Gotham who's not crooked. So
him and like that other one that was like
there's a couple other ones.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times in the movie, and he's also the only one who really works with Batman, and like
likes Batman.
It's
Nobody
the point.
else does.
It's at the point in Batman where like the police aren't really used to him yet. So as he's like coming into these crime scenes, you see like these police officers looking up at this big weirdo wearing like a bat suit and
like a costume.
Yeah, wearing like a bat costume, and it's so great.
Like there was a lot of like silent comedic moments.
Yeah, like
that were
it's
good.
not a funny movie, but there's definitely funny moments, which is how I like my Batman. Which again, animated series Batman, he's not like ha ha joke funny like Deadpool or like Spider-Man, but every now and again he'll throw out like a little comment here.
Did a good job.
Which it was great. I mean like I can't say enough about how great Jeffrey Wright was in this with Robert Pattinson. Okay, Colin Farrell as Penguin.
They got us. They got us real good. Putting Colin Farrell in this and people going, where?
I think I told you that Colin Farrell was in the movie.
You told me after.
Oh,
You told me
okay. So I already
after.
knew it was him.
Right. And I was like, who is this actor? He's doing a good job. I've never seen him before. And then Gino says it's Colin Farrell. I was like, no.
Yeah, so they put the makeup on him. And now traditionally, the Penguin doesn't really work with like the mafia. He's like his own little crime thing. But in this one, he is like a Falcone crime boss who, eventually betrays for one of the mafia people, and like he's like a mafia. Spoilers. He's a mafia guy. There's gonna be a Penguin TV series on Disney Plus, and a Gotham City.
It's gonna be on Disney Plus.
Not Disney Plus.
Something else. A different subscription service.
Yeah. It's gonna be on HBO Max.
Okay.
So those are all the characters I can remember. Who's the Italian guy?
I don't remember his name.
He was great
but you
too.
do. Falcone, but I don't remember what his name is.
John Turturro. John Turturro, at his most Italian I've ever heard him. He reminded me of my grandfather a little bit. If my grandfather had like 10 times more New York accent. So John Turturro plays Falcone, one of the like famous Batman mafia bosses.
And for those that don't recognize the name, you're going to think of Anger Management.
I think he played like Jorge Posada in like a Yankees movie. He played he played Yogi Berra in a Yankees movie once.
All right, but we're going to go back to the millennial movie.
He's in Transformers.
You haven't seen Anger Management.
Oh, he's great in Anger Management.
Anger Management, he's the guy that you have to say Goose Fraba to because classic.
Yeah, John Turturro, he did an awesome job. Andy Serkis as Alfred.
I liked him.
I didn't dislike him.
He didn't have a lot of scenes.
There's not a lot of Alfred in this movie.
I always want more Alfred.
They do make it clear that like Batman and Alfred
are clashing.
Love each other.
Oh, they love each other, but at first they have to clash.
Yeah, spoiler alert, at some point Alfred gets hurt, and in the hospital Bruce Wayne goes to see him, and they like hold hands. It's very nice.
It is very. I also, though, I want my Alfred to be very British.
Andy Serkis is not British.
He's not British, and he didn't try to be very British. It upset me.
New Zealandese.
Well,
he's Gollum. He plays Gollum.
It upset me that I didn't have a Michael Caine.
I mean, you can't beat Michael Caine. You could have put Michael Caine as Batman. I would be like, yes, Michael Caine. Okay, so those are the characters. Overall plot, real quick for everybody.
So, like, very much spoiler.
So, super spoilers. I mean, like, we already spoiled pretty much all the movie anyway, but like,
so
super
if you haven't seen it yet and you've been with us.
So, again, Batman's been Batman for about 2 years now, and this is very much like a detective noir story. So a lot of the movie you hear, like an old noir movie, you hear Batman narrating over it. And essentially the movie starts out where Batman, it's Halloween, which, awesome. And Batman has been doing this for 2 years, but crime has actually gotten worse in the city, so he hasn't actually made anything better yet. So he's like upset about that. So, and basically, James Gordon calls him into a crime scene when the mayor gets killed because the murderer leaves a letter written to Batman.
Yeah.
So that's why Batman's working with the police in this one. It's because the Riddler keeps leaving him clues. So it's essentially just, again, like a murder mystery. The Riddler keeps killing people. He keeps leaving clues for Batman. He keeps leaving letters for Batman. Him and James Gordon try to figure out what's going on. Catwoman's there. She works at a club. And essentially what you find out is basically that, huge spoilers. I'm spoiling the whole thing, so if you didn't watch it. You find out that the Riddler knows the truth about Thomas Wayne, and that Thomas Wayne had paid or had told Falcone when he's running for mayor to like go scare a journalist, because the journalist was going to write something about
the wife, Martha
Wayne, about her being in an insane asylum. And then also Batman is his mom is from the Arkham family. I got to check if that's like a thing in the comics. I never heard that before.
Well, and then when they said that, I was like, I didn't know there were like two founding families, I guess, of Gotham.
Yeah,
but I don't know much about Gotham.
I mean, like Arkham Asylum is Arkham Asylum.
Right. Well, so essentially, like, Riddler knows a lot of the corruption going on. So the reason he's killing these people is to stop the lies, get the corruption out there. Essentially, he wants to end corruption, like similar to Batman, who wants to end crime.
I think they insinuated the journalist that they killed was his dad, was the Riddler's dad. If I'm not mistaken, it's one of those movies you got to watch again. I'm pretty sure they insinuated, I might be wrong, that the journalist that was killed. So Thomas Wayne didn't want the journalist killed, but Falcone killed him anyway.
Right, and then Thomas Wayne was like, I'm going to go turn myself in, and then that night he died.
Yeah, and then like you find out that like the GCPD had made like a drug bust against a different mafia guy, and Falcone was a rat, and he ratted the guy out. So like the whole GCPD was in on it. So essentially, Riddler knows this, but he's just like a dweeb in his apartment.
Right.
So the reason why he was leaving letters to Batman is because he knows Batman will be able to like actually go get these people and bring them out.
Well, and also
so he basically tricks Batman into doing his work for him.
Yes. Well, he's a
Awesome reveal.
He is a forensic accountant. And for those watching Housewives, we know how important forensics is with money because of what's going on with Erica Jane and Expensive Divorce, where you get a forensic accountant to come in and see where all the money is. So he knew what was going on with the money in the town. And when Thomas Wayne was running for mayor, he had this plan of the renewal project to like give money to people that needed it. But when he died, that money was split against amongst all like the mobsters and everybody. And that's what helped bring Falcone to power.
And then the Riddler shot him. Oh, no, sorry. And then when Batman brings him out to get arrested.
20 years later.
Then Riddler, and like and then the Riddler. So I can't find anything online about of Martha being traditionally a member of the Arkham family, but in this version she is. So that's like the general plot. And then after Batman does all the work of like rooting out all these corrupt people for the Riddler, the Riddler plants bombs along all of these levees that prevent the ocean from coming into into Gotham, blows them all up so that everyone would go into, I guess essentially Madison Square Garden, but it's Gotham Square Garden,
and potentially the scariest part of the movie.
Yeah, and like this is where like the QAnon and
just like conspiracy theories, like all
8chan stuff kind of comes in.
All these people that have been hurt by the world.
Because I mean, like as scary as it is, this is based on reality. There's a lot of mass shooters
Which
in the past
is why it was
who live stream it and have like the comments pop up.
That's why it
that
was so
very
scary
much that
for me.
So essentially, the Riddler had recruited like all these people online to also dress up as the Riddler, go to Gotham Square Garden, and just start shooting at people,
right?
Like a mass shooting. And that's the final scene. And then Batman shows up, beats him up. At one point, Batman gets shot in the stomach with a shotgun. And then Catwoman's getting beat up by one of the shooters.
So just to be clear, Batman is hanging off. She saves him. And then he's like very tired because he also just got shot.
Yeah, he has like bulletproof armor.
Right, so he got shot, and then she gets attacked by somebody else.
So then he pulls out a green vial and injects it. And he has like a little port in his leg. Injects it into his leg. Toby's like, oh, that's adrenaline. But any Batman fan knows green vial that makes you strong and like helps you get, deal with pain is Venom, which is what Bane uses to be super strong. Not Bane in the Dark Knight movies, Bane in the comics and Bane in the animated series. He uses a drug called Venom, which is basically like makes him super jacked. So Batman's using Venom, or maybe it's just adrenaline. I don't know why they'd make it green if it wasn't a Venom, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
So then essentially at the conclusion of that, the real kicker for Batman where he realizes what he's doing wrong, is when one of the bad guys that he just beat up, one of the shooters.
Well, and also it was the guy, I'm pretty sure it was the same guy that was next to him at the wake. You remember when he was standing at the thing and this guy is...
Oh, yes, the wake for the mayor.
Wake for the mayor, right?
There's a crazy guy.
There was, just like an angered citizen, right? That was mad about stuff. And it was talking to Batman.
Yep.
Like it was regular. And then Batman gets called, like, Bruce Wayne, come along.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was him, though.
I think it was him.
I think you're right, too. Except his face was flat because Batman just punched his head in. And I think someone asked him, like, who are you? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And he's like, I am vengeance, which is Batman's famous line that he says in the beginning of the movie. I think that's what, and you pointed this out to me. That's when Batman realizes, like, oh, like, I'm making stuff worse because all I care about is, like, vengeance and beating up bad guys.
Right.
I'm, like, just as bad as them. Which is then he makes a heroic sacrifice. He, like, there's, like, an electrical wire that's going to go in the water. He, like, jumps onto it, cuts it, gets electrocuted, and then goes and saves
Well, and then goes
Little kids
and what I thought was really cool, and I saw this on Twitter, was somebody made the connection between, like, in the beginning, he was like, they're afraid that I'm in the shadows. I am the shadows.
Yeah.
But by the end, he was the light.
In the light.
Like,
He pulls out a flare,
and he's like drawing people out.
He like moves a
being
bunch
the
of
beacon of hope.
scaffolding,
Yeah.
saves a bunch of people, saves the kid first, saves the mayor's kid.
Which is adorable.
'Cause maybe that's going to be the Robin at some point. Because,
Adorable. Is that how that works?
Now he's an orphan that his parents were killed.
I know his mom's alive.
One of his parents was killed.
Not an
Not
orphan.
an orphan, though, whatever. So yeah, Batman, and essentially he says this in the speech at the end as he's helping the National Guard like save people and put them on helicopters, is that he can't just be vengeance, he has to also be hope and give people hope. So when I say that this is almost a better origin movie than Batman Begins shows you like, how did Batman get his Batmobile? How does Batman learn to be a ninja? How does Batman like figure out how to get a grappling hook? Like all that stuff is not in this movie. But in Batman Begins, once he has all the tech, he's like a fully formed character. He knows he needs to be a symbol of hope. He's going to inspire people of Gotham. This Batman, he has all the tech already, but he hasn't figured out that he needs to be a symbol of hope. And
Right.
this movie is how he figures that out.
And
That's his character arc.
We liked that a lot because, and I'm speaking for both of us.
Go ahead. Yep.
Because
We've been gushing about this movie.
we have
all day.
now stop talking about it since last night.
And no one at work has
today.
seen it, so I can't talk
Right.
about it.
I talked about it with one person, so maybe I will drop in his comments or his thoughts. Sorry. And so we both really liked it because Batman was like, Bruce Wayne was not in his element. Like in the other movies, right, Jimmy was saying Batman was fully formed, right?
Like once he gets the tech, it's like he's already amazing at being Batman.
Right, like he doesn't need to figure out managing being up all night
Right.
and then also being awake during
like
the day.
never makes mistakes.
Right,
like never screws
is in
up.
front of Wayne is in charge of Wayne Enterprises, but also
Is
Batman.
a playboy.
Right,
Yeah.
like so in this one you can see that there's opportunity for growth within the next movies. Like literally, like throughout it, Alfred's like, "Yo, you good, man?
Yeah,
You gotta
the whole
like
time.
continue being a human too."
Because all he does is be Batman and then like go to sleep and like wake up. Like that's all he
Right.
does. Like he doesn't
Like,
have a life.
They mention that he's a shut-in, that
Yeah.
no one ever
Which
sees
is like
him.
traditionally true about Bruce Wayne in general, but like every so often he'll go out and be Bruce Wayne. This
Right.
one he's only Bruce Wayne once at the wake for the mayor.
Right.
And
the
everyone's
club.
like, "What a weirdo!" Like it's Bruce Wayne. He's
and
here.
the club.
Oh yeah, so that's like another thing I want to point out is that like I think I mentioned this before, is that like he has to be both Bruce Wayne and Batman because sometimes Batman is the correct approach, sometimes being Bruce Wayne is more helpful in like political things. So he keeps going back to this club over and over again where the mafia is and where all the corrupt people are. And the first time he goes as Batman, they open the door. "Do you know who I am?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Yeah, screw you." And he has to beat him. He has to like basically
his way.
beat the crap out of everybody. It's an
Yeah.
awesome scene, great fight scene, very Arkham Asylum like. Just beats the crap out of everybody to get to talk to the Penguin. Then he goes again as Bruce Wayne
To
later
talk
on
to
in the movie
Falcone.
to talk to Falcone as Bruce Wayne, and he says, "Do you know who I am?" "Oh yeah, you're Bruce Wayne," and they just let him in.
Yeah.
So like I'm like again, sometimes it's better to be Bruce Wayne, sometimes it's better to be Batman.
So he's like learning, which is also really nice.
Yeah.
Also, for the bouncers, anybody Teen Wolf fans, the twins, I love them.
He breaks so many noses in this
So
movie.
many noses.
Breaks their noses. I think at one point he makes a joke about like, "Oh yeah, I broke that guy's." In the
Yeah,
scene
he
where,
says it to Zoe Kravitz.
in the scene where where Catwoman is going into the club
Mm-hmm.
so that he can watch what she's doing.
I broke that guy's nose.
I broke that guy's nose. Yeah, that was a funny line. So
I'm not done.
I just like can I? Yeah, I mean like go. I'm just gonna gush for the next 20 minutes. Like, go ahead.
because I got one more thing that I need to talk about, and it's the last scene, not the last scene, but it's the scene where Riddler is already in the asylum,
Awesome scene.
and Batman is at a crime scene, I think, or at the
Well,
somewhere.
because before
It's when they get the phone call and they're like, Riddler wants to go talk to you.
Yes.
And so he goes down to Arkham Asylum to talk to Riddler, and Riddler like monologues. And
Yes.
is so
Just-
spooky.
She takes that scenery, puts it in a big old sandwich.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
just chews that scenery.
And just
Paul Dano.
just great job, and just talks about how he's like, we're a team, like you and I are
Yeah.
the same. This is awesome. And I think that's also where Batman starts to like figure out like, no.
Oops. Yeah, right. Like,
we
no,
are
we're
not.
not
And
the same.
he gets Batman gets angry. Batman gets rude. Like, you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
And
Which
then
not
Paul,
nice Batman.
not nice Batman. But then like,
So yeah,
obviously
that's
Riddler,
like, this is the theme. I think the growth of the character in the movie is that he realizes he can't just be mean and bad and vengeance.
right? Because you're going to attract the wrong kind of
These people.
attention.
Yeah. So I think that, and that was a wake up call for him as well. And then there's, I mean, like, even going back to that theme, there's a scene early in the movie where Batman saves a guy from being mugged by like a gang.
Quite early
In the movie. And he beats up all these dudes again, very Arkham Asylum. I would say, I would say the fight scenes in this movie, one of the criticisms of the Dark Knight trilogy is that, like, the way the editing is, it's really hard to keep track of the fight scenes and the action scenes. These ones, the fight scenes, you see a lot of it. Even in the scenes where they don't want you to see things because they want it to happen in the dark, it's much easier to keep track of what's going on in the fights. So I think the action in this movie is a lot better.
And it was
Even though
so
there's not a lot of
good.
it.
And it was
Yeah.
like creative. Like there was like what the last scene they're like fighting on beams. Like what? In the ceiling?
In Madison Square Garden.
Right?
But anyway, so
Crazy.
in that scene where he's helping the guy being mugged, after he helps the guy being mugged, the guy that's getting mugged is terrified of Batman and says, like, please don't hurt me. And Batman just stares at him and leaves.
Right.
Because he hasn't figured out, like, he's not just a vigilante. He's not just a detective. He's supposed to be a superhero. He's supposed to be like, don't worry, dude. Like, I got you.
Right.
Like, I'm here to help, or like whatever. Like, he doesn't. He just stares at him and leaves. I don't know if this is one of the like ethereal kind of things about this Batman is that, like, I thought it was just Robert Pattinson being weird. Is that he stares at people a lot? So you'll see him just like staring and not saying anything. And you find out in the movie that he wears contact lenses that record video. And then every day after he's Batman, he sits there with the video recorder.
Logs it.
And writes a journal about it. So I think the reason why he stares at people all weird, they made it like part of his like tech.
Right.
He's got to like stare at them. And then
And it also
a
like
funny-
identifies their face.
Yeah, and
stuff.
that's a funny thing because then Catwoman has to do it when she's wearing the contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, this is weird. Like, why am I doing this? Just like, okay, can I gush about the Batmobile real quick?
I was waiting for you to.
Okay.
Well, talk about that whole scene, the chase scene with the
I'm going to
penguin.
gush the whole time. So most of the movie, he just drives a regular. So like he goes into the city in like a regular motorcycle in like regular clothes, and then he changes into the Batman suit while he's out there. So most of the time, he's just driving like a regular motorcycle, and you see the Batmobile in the background. So you know, in the Dark Knight movies, the Batmobile is, you know, a Wayne Tech tank that Lucius Fox designed, and like
There was no
traditionally,
Lucius in
there is no
this.
Lucius Fox yet. I mean, there's got to be. There's got to
yeah,
be Lucius Fox
eventually.
So
Okay.
traditionally, Batman gets his tech from Wayne Enterprise. Like Batman's super smart. Batman's a great engineer. He's got like a master's in engineering and all that stuff. But Lucius Fox is generally the one who gives him his tech, especially in the Dark Knight movies.
Mm-hmm.
This one, there is no Lucius Fox yet. He's not even going. Like he doesn't even care about Wayne.
No, he's making
Enterprises.
everything in
Like
the basement.
he barely like. There's a scene where like his accountants are coming. He's like, I don't give a crap. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you just see this car in the background. It looks like I mean, again, I drive a Dodge Challenger, so like I'm dying right now. It just looks like they took a Dodge Challenger and just put like tank armor on it. Just like that's what it looks like. It's just Dodge Challenger. You see in the background, every so often there'll be like a shot of like spark plugs or like a block, like an engine block.
I'm going to tell you, I didn't notice.
Yeah, there's like just every so often when they show the Batcave, they'll just pan the camera around some spark plugs or around like an engine block. So you get the idea, without them saying it, you get the idea pretty loud and clear that he built this himself with just like whatever crap he can get his hands on, and that he's still building it. So he hasn't driven it yet. Then there's a scene where he has to go talk to the Penguin again, and the Penguin gets in his car. I think it's like a Maserati or something, some car. And
Oh, it's the money. They steal money.
no, Catwoman's trying to steal money.
Yeah.
He's going to go talk. He goes with Jim gordon to go talk to the Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
So Batman gets shot with a bunch of and gets knocked out. He gets like shot with like a bunch of assault, guns. So he gets knocked out. Mm-hmm. And then they're pointing the gun at Catwoman, and you just hear, I mean, what has got to be the most terrifying car ever in cinema, period, you just hear this like rumble, like just this like scary, like a demon coming awake. And you see just like fire. And this Batmobile has 2 engines, one in the front with just a ton of exhausts. Like there's exhaust pointing forward, exhaust pointing to the side, and then another like 10-cylinder engine with a jet in the back. So it's just this crazy muscle car with like just fire and engines and noise, and the whole theater is shaking. The characters are terrified because there's just this like monster car
this is like
coming after them.
We saw this at like 8 p.m. at night, so this is happening like 9:30, 10.
So like even the Batmobile is scary in this. Like sure, the Dark Knight Batmobile, the Batman Begins Batmobile, it's a tank. It jumps on buildings. It's whatever. But like to me, I always thought it was dumb that Batman would have a tank because he lives in a city. Where are you driving that tank?
Only to knock over trucks.
You get a car. The Batmobile is supposed to be a car. They do that because there's the most famous Batman comic is The Dark Knight Returns. And in that one, he has a tank.
Oh, okay.
And that came out in the 80s. And I was like, oh my God, the tank Batman is so cool. No, make it a car. So this one is just a monster muscle car, fat tires, and he just chases after the Penguin in one of the coolest chase scenes. I think in terms of superhero movies, probably the best chase scene since Winter Soldier.
It was awesome.
Winter Soldier with Samuel Jackson is amazing, but this is just like I was like for something I was like I kind of felt scared for the Penguin. I was like, Jesus, he's gonna kill this dude.
Well, I was scared for like also all the other people because like they drive backwards.
Well, if you notice, Batman didn't hit any other cars on purpose. Penguin was hitting other cars into the Batmobile.
Yeah, no, it was scary.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
he's just like slamming on the back of his car, just and every time the car revs, it's just like again, I might be biased because I drive a muscle car. I love the way a V8 engine sounds. It's just like, oh my God, I wanted to get in my car and like floor and do burnouts. And then Penguin like knocks over like a tanker truck.
Yeah.
Batman ramps over the tanker truck as it's
Everything
exploding. Penguin's like, I got him. Yes,
Yeah.
I killed him. He's screw you, Batman. And just from the fire, just like this demon car comes over, hits the Penguin. He does like a billion flips. And then like a cowboy, which give me a second to talk about the cowboy when I'm done. But remind me to talk about the cowboy stuff when I'm talking about.
I'm trying to remember.
You just see like it's all upside down because the Penguin's car upside down, and Robert Pattinson is just slowly walking towards the Penguin's car, and like in almost like what I think was done on purpose to be funny, he like kneels down,
right, and is like
and just like hello, like, and I think that was done on purpose.
Probably.
Such an incredible scene. I think that's going to go down as one of the better car chases in movie history. And it's going to be one of those scenes where if you get a new home theater system with speakers, that's the scene where you show off to your friends. Like, I got a 15 speaker home theater. Like, come sit. Let's watch the scene from the Batman.
Now,
awesome Batmobile. My favorite Batmobile. Go ahead. I'm done.
Okay, as a viewer, I'm a little upset that they put that scene in the trailer because
yeah, they did.
They ruined it for me.
They got to show off the Batmobile. People will be upset.
Yeah, but like there had to be just do the chase scene. Don't do the fire and then it pops over and then he walks out.
Yeah, that part.
They put the ending in the trailer.
They didn't put the part where the Batmobile comes to life and is terrifying. So I gotta give them credit for that.
Yeah, but I don't want to know the outcome of the chase in the trailer.
Yeah. So I guess we saw the trailer, so we knew that. So the jumping over the fire part
that upset me. It was
still amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
So and she hates cars. So if
I hate cars.
It hurt. Back to the cowboy thing. I think one of the things I also liked about this Batman, there was a lot in the original Star Wars. Whenever Boba Fett walks around, they did like the jingly noises because they want to make him seem like a cowboy. I feel like there's a lot of cowboy vibes.
Well, they made his like
Batman.
thick boots.
He has thick. Whenever that's another cool thing about this Batman is that you'll hear him coming before he's on screen. Mm-hmm. So you'll hear from the dark just like clomp, clomp. His belt they made. I wonder if they did this on purpose. His utility belt from certain angles looked like the holsters of like a cowboy. So I don't know if they're going for that cowboy thing on purpose, but I got a little bit of that. but man, I could just gush.
It was, yeah.
As a fan of, again, Batman's supposed to be a detective. This is probably the first Batman movie where he really feels like a detective. Like, it makes sense why the police would call him in, or why James Gordon would call him in, because he's a detective and he's good at it. Whereas the other Batmans, like Dark Knight, he does that weird thing with the bullet, and like he scans.
That was like the only detective part.
But this one, he's like looking at bloodstains. He's like collecting clues. He's trying to figure out like puzzles. So, I mean, the Riddler's like the perfect villain for that kind of stuff.
Right, because he's literally setting up.
Yeah, and
clues
historically,
for
the
him.
Riddler, his main quirk that he always has to, when he does something bad, he always has to leave enough clues for Batman to catch him. He's not able. He's so obsessed with like riddles and stuff that he always leaves an answer, because he could easily like just do crimes and not get caught. So like that's kind of his thing. And in this one, they again they make it so that the Riddler was
trying
Batman
to work
on purpose.
right. One criticism. So my friend and I did talk about this. And one criticism he had was that it seemed too easy for Batman to get the the murders, and then at the end when the Riddler was like, you just don't see the big picture, and he's like, there were no clues left for Batman to understand. Like, did you see that coming, that he was going to explode the city?
A better I guess like detective movie would have put that somewhere in the background. And that's the thing, I want to watch this movie again.
So maybe it was in the background and we missed it.
Because essentially Batman was in the Riddler's apartment and didn't notice.
Well, and then they left the carpet tool for him, and then they found out later it was a carpet tool, so we lifted the carpet,
so
and then he saw it.
The first murder that he did with the mayor, he killed him with a carpet tool, and then Batman was supposed to use that to figure out that he was supposed to rip the carpet up in Riddler's apartment.
Right.
So, I think a better movie would have put that stuff in the background, because like a good puzzle, you have all the pieces.
Right.
You just didn't put them together yet.
Right.
So that's why I want to watch it again to see like how much of this stuff, how much of these clues were they leaving for us, because then that would make it like a perfect detective movie. So it is a good detective movie. It's not a perfect detective movie.
I also don't mind that he figured it out, the clues quickly, because otherwise it would have been too slow.
He's supposed to be the world's.
I know.
Too slow. It's a 3-hour movie. So it is definitely long.
They definitely added, left stuff in. Even
Don't see it at night.
Even that first scene when you have the Riddler looking at the mayor's apartment and you start off with him being stabbed by his son because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening?
Pretend stabbed by his son. His son's dressed up as a ninja.
Right. So that scene must have been 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is 2 minutes we did not
So there is
need.
definitely somewhere in here is like a perfect Batman movie. I honestly could have done with, I know it's kind of the whole crux of the thing. I could have done without the entire last scene of.
Gino just wanted them to put him in jail and then
just
be done.
Batman figures out the mystery and then he goes to jail. Credits roll. So I could have done without the whole final scene at the garden with the flooding and he has to fight the people and you got to save the people. I could have done without that. So it's not a pure detective movie because he figures out the stuff and then there's another half hour of movie after it where he does action stuff. So I could have done without that. Another criticism. I mean, I guess do you have anything more to say about the movie? Because what I'm going to talk about is not necessarily about the movie.
Oh, and then I guess one other thing was the cameo by the Joker.
Oh yeah, so they take the end credit scene and put it before the credits, which thank you, by the way.
No, thank you, because we stayed an extra long time.
That's my fault. I'm like, Toby, see if there's an end credit scene, and she's like, yeah, there is. I'm like, all right, don't look at it. Don't see if there's.
And then I looked at it, and they were like, people are disappointed.
There is no really an end credit scene. It's there's someone the Riddler says goodbye, whatever.
Dumb.
So the real end credit scene is before the credits, so you can just leave when the movie's over. Mm-hmm. But they do very, very, very heavily insinuate that when Riddler is in Arkham Asylum, the inmate that's next to him is the Joker. So there is going to be a Joker. It is played by, you said his name before. He was in Eternals.
He's the Irish guy.
He played the psychic dude. Mm-hmm. He is Irish. I have it here. His name is Barry Keoghan. One of the most, Keoghan, very Irish name.
Yeah.
So yes,
So
he's playing the Joker. He's the new Joker.
my criticism is I'm ready for a new villain.
There are other villains besides the Joker.
I don't believe
and
you.
Riddler and
because-
Mr. Freeze.
Right. These are the only ones that I know are Bane,
Yeah.
like Scarecrow, Two-Face.
Well,
Who else
they
is
didn't
there?
do real Bane, so they could still do Bane and do the real Bane because the real Bane is not what they did in the Dark Knight.
Well, and then Two-Face got like 5 seconds, and then he was
no, they
dead.
did enough Two-Face in. Yeah, no,
and
that
other
was
things.
a good. Yeah, that
so
was
like,
good.
give me more. Like, I need more types of villains here.
So there was a rumor because the first card that he gets is from the Riddler has an owl on it. So a lot of people thought that the grand conspiracy in this movie was going to be the Court of Owls, which is a much newer Batman villain. The Court of Owls is like they've been in Gotham for like hundreds of years, and they just consistently kill the Wayne family. So they killed like his grandfather. They didn't kill Thomas Wayne because he got killed on the streets, but then they go after Bruce Wayne. So everyone thought it was going to be the Court of Owls, but it wasn't.
I forgot something else in the movie that was crazy. That since he was going after corrupt people, right, the Riddler, and then he goes after Bruce Wayne. Like,
Oh yeah.
Like
And
that
then-
was a crazy twist.
Yeah, so he wants to go after Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Yeah.
So he goes after like the commissioner, and he kills the commissioner. He goes after the DA because the DA is dirty, and then he goes after Bruce
Falcone-
Wayne
he goes to Falcone. He goes to Bruce.
well, Bruce Wayne he goes after first, right? And he goes after Bruce.
And he doesn't know that Bruce Wayne is Batman at this point.
Right, at all.
Or ever, I guess.
Ever, because in the end, he kept saying Bruce, which was creepy, but then he's like, but you, like,
Yeah.
like you could see Batman was like, oh my God, he knows.
He knows I'm Bruce Wayne.
He keeps saying Bruce. It seems like
And
he's
Batman
calling me
just
Bruce.
dead faces him. Good job, Batman.
Batman's like, don't give it away. And then he goes, but you and I know, or whatever, that he got away.
Yeah, so eventually, he essentially insinuates that, like, everyone wants to know what you look like under the mask.
Oh, but there was somebody that figured
know-
it out.
Who?
The like dude from the client, or like remember the guy who worked.
That's in Dark Knight.
I knew
You're
I was
confusing the Dark Knight.
Wait, can I just pause for a sec? That's the second time I mixed up those two movies, but this time I said it out loud.
Yeah, no, in the Dark Knight, the accountant figures it
Yeah,
out.
nobody knows this in this
Yeah.
movie.
So yes, they heavily. So and basically, what the Riddler said is like, when I put on my mask, I could be my real self without any limits.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter who you are under that mask, Batman, because I know the real you is Batman, which is
Right.
also
In this
historically a
movie.
thing in the comics.
Yeah,
is
well,
that
and also
Batman is his real persona, and
Right.
Bruce Wayne is just like a thing
Side-
he has to do.
Anyway, I thought that was like a really cool twist, is
Yeah.
to like start going after Bruce Wayne.
Okay, so is this your favorite Batman movie? Of the two Batman movies
Of the
you've
two I've seen,
Is it
yeah.
better than The Dark Knight?
I think so. Sorry, everybody.
So I think it was very long. We saw it the weekend of daylight savings. We saw it at 8:00. I think I would have liked it more if I wasn't tired. So I'm really looking forward to the HBO Max release because I want to watch it again in my house. And then I think I will say it's my favorite Batman movie. I don't think it's the best. I think The Dark Knight, just from like historical standpoint, like an influence standpoint, I think that's still going to go down as the best Batman movie, one of the best superhero movies. I don't remember the Batman 89. We should go back and watch those. But I think this is my favorite Batman.
I was like very
I loved it.
invested.
Yeah.
So
Because it's a freaking detective.
it's a detective movie again, and also like I'm not a guesser. So if you don't want to guess things and you're just like in it to
You
be
should-
in it,
So you should. I think I own it somewhere. My favorite So I haven't. So really, the only comics I've ever read are Batman comics because they're the best. And I'll read like, if you type in like top 5 best Batman, like I read those ones. So my favorite Batman comic is Batman Hush, which is a detective. It's a mystery. It's the whole time. It's awesome. So one, I would love them to do a Batman Hush movie. Hush is a newer Batman villain. He's a plastic surgeon who hates Bruce Wayne. So he takes a bunch of dead bodies and he turns himself into like a fake Bruce Wayne.
that's spooky.
Yeah. And like Superman's in it and like Poison Ivy's in it. It's amazing. Batman Hush is awesome. If you've never read Batman Hush, go read it. So that's another thing that kind of like influences the kind of Batman I want to see. So if you like the Arkham Asylum games, if you like Batman Hush, Batman The Long Halloween, if you love Batman the Animated Series, you like your Batman to be a detective, this is that movie. I really cannot wait for more of this. I loved it. Even if I don't necessarily think it's objectively the best movie, it's probably my favorite Batman movie. And I think as we get more movies, as they improve on this, because Matt Reeves, apparently, the Planet of the Apes movies just got better and better. I think this has the potential to go down as the greatest Batman. It's definitely better than Batman Begins.
Listen, I want to give me all the Robert Pattinson in a bat suit. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So I loved it. I think when we start getting sequels to this, it's really going to end up being just an incredible movie. Warner Brothers cannot throw enough money at Matt Reeves. Just keep throwing money at him. Yes, bring him back. Now, real quick, just a little bit of a criticism here. I would love to tell you guys, like, rush out to your nearest theater and go see it. I was really disappointed in the theater screen. It was bad. There was like a stain. We went to go. I'm calling you out. Regal and Deer Park. There was a big stain in the middle of the screen. So it looked like someone had like thrown their soda at the screen or something or whatever. There's this big stain. So anytime there's any sort of light on the screen, I just saw this big. I don't know. You didn't notice it.
I didn't notice.
But I paid $30 to go see this. Right, $15 a ticket. So I expect a better experience than my house. Big stain in the middle of the screen, and then the bulb in the projector must have been dying, because there's just like a dark spot in the middle of the screen the whole time. Apparently, this is an issue in theaters across the country. Warner Brothers sent a letter. Someone put it on Reddit yesterday. Warner Brothers sent a letter written by Matt Reeves to theater operators being like, hey, I filmed this movie so that like parts of the screen are really, really dark and parts of the screen are really, really bright. Please, like, don't screw this up for me.
Gino's the person that would notice that.
As someone who's a big fan of HDR, that's like HDR. And he's like, literally like, please make sure your projectors can reach at least this certain threshold of brightness when you're showing this movie. And apparently, like, in the Reddit thread, theater operators from all over the country were like, yeah, nope, we can't do that. Our projector bulbs can only go half as bright. We don't replace them as much as we should. So I think that theaters, I mean, maybe we should have seen it in the IMAX screens, even though it's not really not a real IMAX movie. But we saw it in a normal theater. And the black levels weren't great. Like, I guess I'm getting spoiled by these OLED screens.
You must be.
I'm really looking forward to the home release because I think I'll enjoy it more on my better screen.
I think I'll enjoy it more because also, no offense, Deer Park, but those bathrooms were wicked
terrible.
Regal
Deer Park. Yeah, we got to go to the one. We got to go to the AMC and we'll try the AMC in Deer Park.
I think so because that was not a.
We're spoiled. We were spoiled by Broadway Mall and Hicksville, man.
I know, but I will say
Stadium.
That the just some perks. The snack person was lovely.
Yes, snacks were great.
Snacks
Nothing to do with it. So anyway, should you go see this movie in theaters? Yes, it's a great movie. But boy, make sure you find a theater you trust. I don't think I want to go back to that theater anymore.
I guess not. But also, like, I guess I just say go see it.
I don't want to spend this. I'm not spending 15. I'm also mad that we spent $15 because Broadway Mall on a Tuesday.
Yeah, but we're not seeing it. We're seeing it on Tuesday
anyway,
night.
We have a friend of the show used to work at a theater, so I want to ask them what's up.
If they could
comment, you know who I'm talking to. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
He used to work at a movie theater.
Number one fan's wife.
Tell me, number one fan's wife. Give me a little background info here. Why are these theaters screwing up so bad? Why was there a stain on my screen? Go clean the screen.
Also, how often are bathrooms cleaned? Please let me know.
Anyway,
we have a lot of questions.
I guess pay the extra money for the IMAX version because it's a better theater.
You guys, we'll talk about. Gino will talk about this all night.
Anywho, great movie. I loved it. I can't wait to see it again. I think when I watch it again, I'm going to love it even more. Go see it.
Well,
Robert Pattinson.
Well, that's it. If I'm so bad,
this is our longest what we're watching together. I think it's an hour.
Oh, I know.
Minutes. We love this movie.
We love this movie a lot. I also don't remember my sign off. So, well, that's it. Thanks for listening and watching our podcast, Talking Tech and Trash with Gino and Toby. If you like what you heard or saw and want to know more, you can visit our website, talkingtechandtrash.buzzsprout.com. Or you can, and you can subscribe to our YouTube videos.
Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share that video, let the algorithm know what's up.
Share it, you guys, please. If you saw the Batman and you liked our review, please share this review with anybody else that also liked the Batman or didn't and they want to like fight fight us. Go ahead.
I'll fight them.
I'll fight them too. Listen, I was Team Jacob until just now. I am
Again,
team...
you picked wrong. Robert Pattinson's a better looking dude than...
I am... Well, you guys got me. I'm a million% Team Edward.
Yeah.
Grown Toby saw the error in her ways. And
I'm team that weird baby that grows up real fast in the fourth movie.
excuse me. Great.
That weird CGI baby. That's what I am.
Esme, weird name.
Doesn't Jacob date the baby?
No, maybe that's... It imprints on him, yeah.
Why is this movie a thing? I'm sorry, Robert Pattinson. You shouldn't have done those movies.
All right, subscribe to our podcast. Give us a 5-star review, comment.
Everything. Share it.
Share it. Really helps the show.
Yay.
We'll see you next time for
Bye.
more Talking Tech and Trash.
See you later.
Bye.
Wait, Toby. We forgot to mention the music. The music was awesome. Soundtrack was awesome. I just want to real quick look up the composer here. A lot of the songs, the main theme at least, was based on Something in the Way by Nirvana, which the song Something by the Way by Nirvana did play through the trailers and through a lot of the movie.
I don't think I would have noticed.
Yeah, yeah. But so they based the main theme around that song, and it was a soundtrack by Michael Giacchino. Shout out to Italians. Great soundtrack.
So good.
I've been jamming out to it. I love Hans Zimmer's soundtrack from the Dark Knight movies. I don't jam out to that song. I jam out to this Batman theme.
And it was actually one of the things that upset me because it was on Saturday. Gino started
He's like,
listening.
you're obsessed with this movie already. Stop
Oh my God.
listening to the theme.
I was like, you need to relax. Because again, guys, I was not excited about seeing the Batman 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. I have work the next day. But the music just made sense. And it was so creepy.
Yeah. And again, if you listen to the main Batman theme, it's on Spotify already. It's on Apple Music. It sounds, and also the Nirvana song, it sounds like a cowboy, like what a cowboy would have playing in the background. So that goes back to I'm telling you, there's got to be an intentional cowboy motif. Listen to Something in the Way by Nirvana. The beginning of that song sounds like a cowboy thing. So I just wanted to add this quick little tidbit at the end because we forgot to shout out the music, and the soundtrack was great in this.
Yeah, I agree. It helped bring it all together.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Bye again.